debugging memory leaks in the browser. Stuart?
Okay, I'm going to be very careful because this thing's finicky, so nobody breathe. All right, so like Dan said, my name is Stuart Runyan. I work in town with a company called Tilium. Mainly, I do front-end stuff. The stack we use is Backbone, Marionette for all the views and stuff and models. So I'm going to kind of show you guys the 3 snapshot technique to figure out what objects are leaking. So the first thing you'll want to do is set up a clean room. So a clean room is just a brand new profile with no extensions installed. I have one that I have just ready to go anytime I want to do some debugging. And then you can go into your Chrome extensions. You want to deactivate everything. And then once you get going, the first thing you want to do is check your task manager and see if there's anything running in the background. So if you go to your menu, more tools, and then task manager, as you can see, there's no extra tasks running, so there's nothing else going to be kind of consuming memory that could kind of skew what I'm looking at. Then what you're going to want to do is jump into your application. So what you want to do first is look at the timeline to even determine if you actually have a memory leak that you kind of need to dig into. So I'm going to reload my application here. Go into my timeline, make sure my memory profiler is on, and then, actually, try that again. And then I'll start recording. Then I'll go through the sequence of events that I think is causing my memory leak. So I'm going to open up some views. Just going to do this action a couple of times. And then before I stop recording, I'm going to hit my garbage collection to make sure the browser, cleans up anything that it actually can clean up. Now I'll stop recording. And then what you're looking for here, and my app doesn't have that much of a memory footprint, but what you're going to look for here is this blue bar. It's barely visible. I'll zoom in here. And what you want to see is that your increase here, eventually, when you have cleaned up, when you've garbage collected, drops back down to the usage that it was using before. So basically, you've allocated this much memory from my application, events occurred, I allocated more memory. Once I garbage collected, all those events were cleaned up and everything goes back to that normal state. So I got something going on. So let's dig in and try to figure out what's happening. So what we'll do now is we'll jump into the profile. We'll go to our take heap snapshot here. And we're going to take an initial snapshot. But first, before I do that, I'm going to refresh again just to make sure I've cleared out my caches. I'm going to take a snapshot. Actually, I'm going to take a couple just because I want to get my base memory in place. So now I can see that it's all staying at the same level. So this is how much memory my application is consuming. So I'm going to take a snapshot. And then I'll go through the sequence of events that I think is causing my memory leak again. A couple times. I will take another snapshot. And then we're going to do it one more time. So once again, going through the sequence of events that we believe is causing the leak, take another snapshot. Now, as you can see, obviously here we have 9.4 megabytes in our third snapshot compared to 8.2. So we should have seen it go back to that initial 8.2. And one thing to be aware of is when you're taking these snapshots, it's running the garbage collection for you. So now what we're going to do is we're going to try to figure out what objects are being retained. So I'm going to compare my snapshot 3 to my snapshot 1. So I'm going to click in here to my comparison view. Then I'm going to tell it to compare to snapshot 1. Then I'm going to sort by my size deltas. And so your size delta is just the difference between how much memory was allocated and then how much memory was freed. So what I want to see is my names. It'll let me. Man, these projectors are the worst. So small. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip past all these internal objects and look for the first one that I'm kind of aware of, that I know what it is, right? So the first thing I see is child. Now I'm using Backbone and Marionette, and I know that Marionette creates these objects called child. So I look at this child and I see that there's a massive size delta. It allocated almost 9 kilobytes and only freed up 100. So something's sticking around here. This isn't right. So I'm going to open this up, and I'll see, oh look, there's a bunch of child instances that are being maintained. And if you hover over them, it will actually show you the object that you're looking at. So I can obviously look at this and I go, well, I know this is a Backbone view with all the Marionette bells and whistles on top of it. And so since this is hanging around, this is one of the views I'm looking at, and since it's Backbone, I know this is the code I wrote. I know Backbone has this element property. It's going to kind of give me a hint at, what this code actually is. So this is my pool list. So I know I have a pool list view, so this is being retained for some reason. And then I'll look at another one, just kind of see what else is going on. Okay, I have a pool single view. Pool list. Okay, then this makes total sense to me. I've been clicking back between my list and my single view, but they're being retained, so something's going on here. So now that you kind of have a general hint of, I know I have a leak, I know what's leaking, now this is where it kind of really gets hard, where you actually have to look into your code, understand what's going on, and really figure out what is creating the reference to this that's not allowing it to be cleaned up. I'm cheating because this is a demonstration. But so just to kind of give you a general idea of how I would attack this, I'd say, all right, well, this is my object as a pool list. Okay, I'm going to look at my pool list view. I don't see anything here that's, holding a reference, so maybe it's not in here. Let me look at my pool single. Nope, nothing else in here that I think's going on. But I know that I wrote a controller which is generating these views and then using a marionette region to insert them into the DOM. So that would make sense, right? If these are being maintained, maybe somehow where they were being created is created a reference, it's not letting it go. So then I'll look at my controller. Oh yeah, look, sure enough, there we are. I set prevent destroy to true. Why would I do that? I don't know. So now I'm telling marionette, hey, don't do your lifecycle functions, maintain these objects, so therefore they're staying in memory. So that's the general gist of it. There's a lot of things you kind of want to look for when you are actually looking for what's causing the issue in your code. Like closures will bite you every time, with circular references. If you do like a DOM selection, you attach it to a variable, and somehow that's not being cleaned up. So that's pretty much it. Are there any questions? Yes. Yep. So I'm setting up a clean room. How do you do that? So you just go in here. You can switch your person, then you would add a new person, and then there you go. And I can go here. Nope, that's a Chrome feature. You can have multiple profiles set up. Exactly. Clean room is just the concept of I have no extensions in here, nothing else running in the background.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else?
Very recently, I think we tried out a way of identifying anonymous functions internally. There's some label thing you can add now. It's an internal feature.
I heard about that, but that brings up a good point. What I just eventually got to is I name all my functions. I try to never leave an anonymous function. Even if it's a callback, I call it CV, something to know what I'm looking at and give me a hint. Yeah. The closures are the biggest thing I can think of. Like you set up a view, and then it grabs a reference to like a document object, and then somehow that closure prevents you from actually cleaning it up. That's the biggest thing. I ran into one which I haven't solved yet in actual production, where using D3, I know that there's like using a D3 in a backbone view is somehow creating a reference to the SVG that is not being cleaned up. The other thing too is a lot of times I got bitten in the butt by a third-party library where I was looking at it, I was like, there's no way, man, like there's no way this is leaking. And then sure enough, I upgraded and the leak went away. So sometimes it's not even your code. That's a great question. So I got into this because of the company I work with. Our production application is for marketers, and this is something they would like leave open all day, right? So you'd get into it, you'd be flying around, adding some stuff, just opening all these views, right? And if we don't clean that stuff up properly, it definitely hangs around. You can definitely see like your animations begin to slow down. Yes? That's a great question. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know though. That's a good, I would love to automate it. All right, cool. Thank you very much.
All right, next up we have Derek Edwards on what are JSON